Hi guys, T2 here with another deck guide, this time another classic, Handlock. So last time we did Midrange Druid, and this time we're going with the Handlock, a deck that's been around for more than a year. It's almost as old as Hearthstone itself. And as you can see, it's a Warlock deck, and the reason why it's called Handlock is because there are a couple cards in the deck, Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant, that kind of rely on you having a lot of cards in your deck, or in your hand, excuse me. Um, so for the Mountain Giant, it's pretty much unplayable unless you have a lot of cards in your hand. Whereas the Twilight Drake, it comes out as a really weak minion if you don't have a lot of cards in your hand. And on top of that, there are various tools in the deck that have kind of been altered as new expansions have come out to kind of help you deal with the opponent's board. Another classic in this deck are the Molten Giants. So basically, the Twilight Drakes, the Mountain Giants, and the Molten Giants are three cards that benefit greatly from the Warlock hero power. So if you get more cards in your hand, obviously the Twilight Drake and Mountain Giant become more viable. And as you hurt yourself, you actually are able to allow yourself to play Molten Giants without really any help from your opponent hurting you in a lot of situations. So that's nice. Hellfire is another one of those cards that can hurt yourself. And then there's ways to get back from that low health, kind of like a warrior can get back from a low health. Handlock has ways of healing itself with tools like Lord Jaraxxus. Um, sometimes you run Alex Strauss in this deck, and early on it was Earthen Ring Farseers in the deck. In this deck I have one. Some people don't run them anymore, and the reason why is because there's now Anti-Heal Bot, which heals you for a lot more. You kind of get a lot more bang for your buck with that one card, even though it's more expensive. And Siphon Soul is another card which can heal you. Not everyone's running it. Some people are running two. Kind of went for the middle ground and went one for one. And the newest card in the deck is Emperor Thaurissan, which, in my opinion, makes this deck pretty much viable again, or at least one of the top tier decks. Again. Handlock actually was a top tier deck for a long, long time. Here and there it had bad matchups. Like for a while, it kind of went out of favor when Hunter was one of the dominant decks, and but other than those situations, Handlock has been a really strong deck. And right before this BlackRock Mountain patch, it kind of lost a little bit of favor. It didn't really fall off completely, but it went from a tier 1 deck to kind of a tier 2 deck, and I think Emperor Thaurissan might change a few things here and there. So let's take a look at the deck. As mentioned before, we have those Mountain Giants, Molten Giants, Twilight Drakes. And those are the key cards in the deck, essentially. What you're basically doing is you're skipping your turns 1, 2, and 3, and typically you can get a Twilight Drake or Mountain Giant on turn 4. And since you're tapping and you're mulliganing aggressively for those cards, provided you're not playing a deck that's extremely aggressive, you're mulliganing extremely aggressive for those cards, so you're bound to have one of those by turn 4. At least most of the time. You play that on turn 4, and no matter what your opponent's really done, you immediately just take the board from your opponent by playing one of those big minions, provided that they can't deal with it on that turn. But other than those cards, let's go down the list like we always do, starting with Mortal Coil. Some people run 2. For a while they run 0, but I think most people are running 1 these days. It's just a nice way to be flexible. You can do that last bit of damage because a lot of your removal spells are kind of like AoE based. So being able to use one of your AoE spells, or these days Dark Bomb as well, and then get that last bit of damage on things that are 4 health, for instance, can be a huge help. Dark Bomb, some people will run 2, some people run 1. People typically don't run 0. It's just too useful. This used to be that Soulfire was here in this spot, but now that it costs 1, people figured that it wasn't really worth the effort of having, or it wasn't worth the hassle of losing a card to put Soulfire in. Ancient Watcher. There's so many activators for Ancient Watcher, such as Sunfury Protector, the Iron Beak Owl, and the Defender of Argus. So having it in there allows you to be extremely defensive in certain situations. It also allows you to just protect your bigger minions. A lot of times you'll see someone just play a giant, and then instead of taunting the giant, you taunt just the Watcher, so that you can't, that the opponent can't really get to it For instance, Rogue can't attack your giant and get for a better blade flurry in that sense. Two Ironbeak Owls, and the reason for that is for the aforementioned activation of an Ancient Watcher, and also because there's just so many things to silence that having the second owl there is nice. It kind of acts like this deck's version of the Keeper of the Grove, and having it be really, really cheap is important. You really don't want to be using things like Spellbreaker. It's just way too expensive, too clunky. And for instance, if you're playing against Hunter, you just really want that really cheap owl. You turn one coin Ancient Watcher, turn two owl, and then all of a sudden you've turned a matchup that was unfavored into one that's very favored for you. Sunprey Protector is there again for the Ancient Watchers, and also just be defensive because you're getting yourself down in health. You really want to not die, essentially, once you get down in health, once you get your threats out. So those are always nice. They're more favorable than Defender of Argus, even though Defender of Argus kind of buffs your guys. You want the cheap. You want the cheap version. You don't really need the buffs as much because you already have big creatures. And you just kind of want the cheap taunt to get in there. Big Game Hunter, it's just a nice cheap way to get rid of big minions if you're facing Warrior, facing a fellow Handlock. Most people run Dr. Boom these days, so again, just like we saw with the Druid, it's nice to have a cheap removal. Typically, if you're using Siphon Soul or even Shadow Flame, you're using your entire turn to get rid of your minions, so it's nice to have a Big Game Hunter in there. Earthen Ring Farseer is something that I've kept in the deck. Some people take it out. It's just nice to have something that's lower in cost so that whether it's early in the game or later in the game, you can just pair it with another minion. You can just be a little more flexible having a 3-mana minion rather than everything being super clunky. There's 2 Hellfires in this deck and 1 Shadow Flame. Some people like to go the other way and have 1 Hellfire and 2 Shadow Flame. Some people like 2 of both. I kind of like the flexibility that I have with this deck with different kinds of removal with the Dark Bombs and the Siphon Soul. And the Hellfire is a little more anti-aggro. You're kind of expecting a little more aggro on the ladder, so that's why the Hellfire is in there. Also, could be a little more reach as far as trying to kill your opponent. You can have one more way to kill your opponent by getting 3 damage to their face, and typically you're not that close to dying where you're 3 will kill you. Defender of Argus, just have 1 there. Sometimes it can be a little bit clunky, but sometimes it can help a lot to buff your guys, and also have 1 more taunt in your deck, or taunt giver, I should say. So that's nice. Anti-Killbot is great paired with Molten Giant. You put a Molten Giant, you put an Anti-Killbot. All of a sudden you're back at 18, and you put down 11 damage, or sorry, 11 attack and 11 health worth of stats onto the board just for 5 mana. It's really a good way to bounce back from a turn like that. And it was pretty much an auto include right when GVG came out. Lothab is just too good of a card to leave out. It's it's by itself, it's just a nice card to throw down on 5. And in a lot of situations, it can save you. So Lothab's a very nice card as well. Good against rogues and druids in particular. And mages as well, I suppose. Sludge Belcher is really annoying for a lot of people to get around, a lot of classes to get around, so we put it in there. And it's just another way to, hide your big guys or hide your face, either way. Emperor Thaurissan, we mentioned earlier, he makes everything so much better in this deck because, this is Handlock, so you're typically going to, tap into him, you'll be able to get him at some point. And what happens is, one of the reasons why Handlock kind of suffered a little bit before BlackRock Mountain came out is that it's one of the few decks where things are clunky even after you get to 10 mana. A lot of decks, it's like, well, my card's a little bit clunky, but once I get some mana, once I stabilize, I can be fine. Whereas Handlock, you find yourself playing 1 card at a time in a lot of situations, or 2 weaker cards, which isn't good either. So you're either being aggressive or you're being defensive. You don't really have those options. And Emperor Thaurissan changes all that. If you get Emperor Thaurissan out once with this deck, your options are expanded so much. Even if you just get 1 turn off of him, reducing the cost of your guys, so he just makes this deck so much better. And Dr. Boom, as always, he's just really good, and you're not really worried about him being susceptible to Big Game Hunter because, there's so many other things that are susceptible to Big Game Hunter, so You don't really need to worry about Jiraxis. I like him. Some people don't like him because he's susceptible to Harrison Jones and he doesn't provide an immediate impact. But if you're playing a deck like Priest, which I face a lot the other day for some strange reason, there's a lot of decks where he's basically an auto win. Just having him out, creating 6/6s every turn. If you're playing slower matchups, Warrior as well. If it gets to the really late game, you can play Jiraxis when he has 4 cards or so left, and make it so that if he plays Harrison, he fatigues severely. And if he doesn't have Harrison, which not all warriors have, then you immediately start putting 6/6s, and they can't really deal with that. So yeah, that is Jiraxis. And why don't we put this deck off to the side, and we'll play some games. So let's get right into it. Alright, as you can see, we're rank 5, which is, once you get to around rank 5, that's about the area where you see mostly legend players, particularly because we're still in the first third of the month, so anyone who's tried hard enough to get to rank 5 at this point is probably gotten legend at some point, unless it's one of those people who it's like, okay, this is the month, this is the month they're gonna do it. But it's either legendary players or aspiring legendary players, so we should see some relatively good quality at this point.
Let the hunt begin. Your soul shall be mine.
Okay, so Hunter right off the bat. Let's see. So I know 100% that we're keeping Coil, we're keeping Watcher, and we're actually keeping First Parser here too. It's not the best card, but going second, there's a good chance I'm going to coin this out. If he plays, say, a Worgen, or he doesn't play anything on turn 1. And so I'm not going to have the coin on turn 3. It's either tap or play this guy. I'd rather play this guy probably. And I'm just wondering what the Defender of Argus, because it can be really nice with the Ancient Watcher. I could also get something. You know what, I'm going to keep the Defender just to be safe, because I kind of want to have a guaranteed way to activate this guy. So Hunter is one of those decks where you, like, almost anytime you're playing a mid-range or control matchup, you want to keep your Twilight Drakes, or you want to search for your Twilight Drakes and your Mountain Giants. Against a Hunter, though, whether it's mid-range or it's Face Hunter, you want to just go for the the fastest start possible. So the best start you can possibly have against a Hunter is Ancient Watcher into an Ancient Watcher Activator, and there's 3 of those in the deck. It's Defender of Argus, which is the worst of the 3. We're actually going to coin this out. And next turn we're probably going to tap. And the reason why we coin this out is because if we get an owl, if we top deck an owl and get lucky, then we can use it. Or if we top deck a Sunsphere Protector, we can use it as well. And we don't we don't want to be wasting mana, right? So 2 mana, nice. If we don't get anything, we just tap. Turn 3 we Earthen Ring, and turn 4 we Defender, and then first 4 turns our mana is used completely. But yeah, so we're basically we were looking for. So this is good for the future. Not so great right now, obviously. But we do, like we said, we do have our turn 3 and our turn 4. This is probably not going to be used in turn 5, but you just kind of, it's one of those matchups where you don't want to get this on the board, just have this on the board. You want to get the full benefit from it, which is that 8 healing. But yeah, you want, like I was going to say before I made my turn, was you want those owls, you want the Sunfury Protectors. So I'm going to get full. I'm gonna get the full 3 healing from this guy, which is nice. He might, if this is Freezing Trap, he might feel pressure to kill the Farseer. But okay, so I have a couple options. I can either Defender here and just not attack, because there's a good chance that this is freezing, or I could hit run this in here, and if it's freezing, I can Hellfire. If it's snakes, I can Hellfire. But I think the best thing here is to just AFK, because Hellfire, it kind of hurts this guy, and he's pretty valuable to me. I don't really want to be taking 3 health from him, even though he can't attack.
Put this apple on your head.
This looks like a Knife Juggler Unleashed turn, which is okay, that's fine. It still takes a lot of effort to kill this, which can't even attack, so. Nice thing about activating with Taunt as well is that they cannot silence it, or else it becomes a threat. So this now is a better turn for Hellfire, and we're gonna absolutely Hellfire. So hopefully this is both snakes and freezing, and we get them both off, which would be amazing. Okay, so we take a lot of damage from the snakes, but that's okay. Yeah, so we get both, and now we get to clear this entire board, which is nice. And even though we're a little bit low in health, we're down to 20 health right now, we're still in a great spot, I would say. So this is, the fact that he played Pilot Shredder, and the fact that he has these traps rather than Explosive Trap means that this is almost certainly a mid-range hunter and not a face hunter. Okay, so we're at 18 health, and this is one of the rare times where we can actually play Mountain Giant. And in fact, we're so high, we're actually going to tap into Mountain Giant. He's already used 1 freezing. We're not in danger of dying this turn, and we have a heal bot, and we have some taunts, so we're in a really good spot. And we kind of want something to pair with our guy is the important point. This looks like a Houndmaster. I guess what we could have done is we could have just Mountain and Mortal Coiled that guy. That's another thing we could have done.
I wonder.
So do we use the owl for this guy? I'm not quite sure.
So many possibilities.
I mean, what we could do is we could go... Here's what we could do. Yeah, this seems pretty good. And so we had a lot of options, or kind of weird options. We could have heal bot and taunted. We could die here, but it's pretty unlikely. And then this next coming turn, we can heal pretty far up. So we can heal with this. We're probably gonna have to heal with this next turn. It's a little bit more safe than playing Sludge Belcher at the moment. Although at 8 health, it's kind of hard for him to kill us. He would need to have Owl and... We could be really, really greedy and play Emperor Thorison. But... I feel like, on the one hand, it's unlikely we die if we play Thorison Taunt. But on the other, we're so far ahead that I don't think it's correct to be taking that kind of a risk. So we're just gonna go with... We're gonna go with this. And then now we don't need to Jiraxis next turn. Like, we can Jiraxis whenever we get kind of low. And I'm tempted to play Thorison soon, but we could also play Sludge Belcher to make ourselves even safer. The one thing I was concerned about a couple turns ago about using the Owl is because you kind of want to save it for, oh, well, I win the game.
Gul'dan versus Malfurion. I must protect the one. Your soul shall be mine.
Okay, so against Druid, it's pretty standard. What you want to do is mulligan for your Twilight Drakes and your Mountain Giants. This is definitely different from the
My greetings.
this is definitely different from the other match against the Hunter that we saw. So we have a couple options here. We can coin tap because we know the thing is, if you tap turn 2 and turn 3, you actually overdraw. So you need to actually play something by then. But if you coin tap and then I end up playing for Farseer on turn 3, I don't overdraw. But the other thing is I could coin Ancient Watcher, and if I happen to draw into an Owl, that's really, really good for me. There's not a whole lot of things you want to Owl in Druid except for Sylvanas. So, but I think that's better just coin tap here, just to maximize our chances of getting one of our big 4-drops. So we're kind of committing, yeah, we're committing to either this next turn or this next turn. But I think it's better to just tap here and be cost efficient, and then just play the Earthen Ring Forest here on turn 3. Yeah, so this ended up working out. We have our choice between a Twilight Drake or a Giant on turn 4. It's arguably better to play the Twilight Drake first, because what you can do is you can tap Giant on turn 5, because he then costs 3. The other argument is that if I play this right now, he could just Big Game Hunter, and the only really real way to get rid of well, I could Hellfire, but that's really the only way to get rid of the Game Hunter. And all of a sudden now there's a 4-2 on the board, which is, you know, threatening more and more damage. So since he doesn't have, we know he doesn't have coin. He's on turn 5, which means he can't Keeper of Grove and use hero power. So if I play this, even if he Keeper the Groves, I essentially just trade with the Keeper, unless he wants to throw away his Jade, which I doubt he wants to do. So this is why we play this guy. And if he uses okay, he's just gonna do that. I was gonna say if he uses Innervate to hero power, it's fine as well. But looks like that's not the plan. So here, I kind of want to just get a good trade-off. We're just gonna go with this, kill this guy off. If we go for the Mountain Giant play and he has Big Game Hunter, we still can't kill the 5/5, and he still basically has pretty poor control. So. So here, this is pretty tough. Obviously, we don't want him taking our stuff, but taking something, we could also just throw both of these in here. We've kind of gotten pretty good value out of our guys anyway. We already killed a 5/5, and that would allow us to just play whatever we want. We could also draw an Owl here. Okay, so we didn't draw an Owl. And we don't really want to give him anything. So we're just going to throw both of our guys in and play a Giant. By this time, he's already drawn 12 cards. There's a decent chance that he has Big Game Hunter, especially because that could be a card he keeps in his opening hand. If he suspects that was... oh, no, okay. So he can't innervate Big Game Hunter right now. He can innervate Wrath. But we're getting kind of in the danger zone of dying a little bit, sort of. Like if he has innervate, well, he's already used one innervate, but if he has innervate combo, we just die. Question is whether we want to. I'm pretty sure we want to Dr. Boom here. The question is, do we want to just go face, or do you want to kill this guy? I think it might be better to just kill this guy.
So many possibilities.
Maybe. If I had Shadow Flame here, I would for sure Shadow Flame, but I don't, so I can't.
Nature will rise against you.
I don't think I'm close enough to killing him, or going for the face wouldn't matter. So, we're just going to go for this. So yeah, this is kind of dangerous. The more the more it continues to live, which is a problem. Swipe, and I actually had a chance of killing that. That would be pretty unfortunate for him. But now we can kill that with Hellfire, which is kind of a big deal. And now we get Shadow Flame, but we don't need it anymore. Kill that. That's actually really good for us. Because this guy doesn't take any more damage. We got to kill both of those things, and now we just tap and play that guy, because if we don't play that guy, then we overdraw next turn. That's not something that we want to do. Kind of looking at that Shadow Flame and wondering if I should be using it right now. Clearing his board is kind of a big deal.
So many possibilities.
I don't want to quite use Siphon Soul yet, although I could get some extra damage in the face, but this is starting lethal, so I kind of need to get a Sludge Belcher up. Although, I guess if I Siphon Soul, I would heal up, so that's one thing, but... This is nice to have on the board as well, but then, okay, I can always Molten Giant Shadow Flame if I get into a little bit of trouble. I think I'm going to do this. And then tap. We need to do that first, by the way. And then I'm going to just play another Ancient Watcher here. Well, am I? I might need this owl later. I was thinking of whether I should owl now and kill this off at just right away, or not.
Well played.
Does he have lethal, really? I don't believe that's lethal. Oh wait, it is, never mind. Just kidding. No wait, it's not. What just happened? Why did he do that if it wasn't lethal? Okay.
So many possibilities.
That was a little bizarre. So what's better here? I could go up to 18, and if he has combo... Well... I feel like I'm pretty far ahead, so I can... It's better for me to just heal as much as possible. If I go up to 18, he doesn't have lethal with combo, because this would only be... He has 14 plus that, which is 17. So... Instead of using Jiraxis... Like, it's very unlikely that's combo, but I'm also way ahead. So I feel like just going with this line of play is probably good for me. That really scared me. For like, I figured he had calculated everything out if he had lethal there. I think he just underestimated how hard it is to get through um, a sludge belcher.
Who dares
Okay, again, he only has one combo, so he can't, even with innervate stuff, like, there's no way he can actually do anything, so what we're gonna do is just
so
Shadow
many
Flame here.
possibilities?
But we're not gonna tap because he could have combo innervate, hero power, so we're gonna go with this. This is a really bizarre game. This is seriously a bizarre game. But I think we win pretty easily here. There's almost nothing he can do. I'm actually embarrassed that I thought that was lethal before. I guess okay. What if he had double combo? Obviously, that's lethal, or some other way of doing extra damage, like Innervate Wrath to do the extra damage on the Sludge Belcher. But yeah, this has like been a very strange game, and yeah, it's very bizarre that he thought he had lethal when he completely didn't. So finally, the Big Game Hunter comes out. It's been really lucky that it hasn't come out until now. Been really lucky for us, but this is going to be game because we have double owl to finish him off. Alright, there you have it, guys. Handlock against Druid. Well, that's basically a classic matchup you always have to worry about for Druid combos. Luckily we were able to pull it out, even though we thought we were dead for a second there. And hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.